viewable from high points on the expressway, all over downtown and from the south, all over the southern neighborhoods. Gaps from streets or parks allow a view of a chunk of this massive vista, preserved thus far thanks to Olmsted's aesthetic and influence. Glimpses of this emerald form draped around the neck of our city always remind me of the whole place, where I work and live, the city that accepted this land to create this special extension of this vista. The proposed zoning would not only allow a massive apartment, 10 times the visual size of the Divinity Tower, smack in the middle of our city's incredible vista. Its allowable uses only seem to give the Preservation Board control over whether an above-ground water retention pond is acceptable in the South Lawn, not if a 16-foot retaining walls should be hovering over Highland Avenue.
Thank you, sir. I just want to reiterate. You're fine, thank you. Nice job. I just want to reiterate what I said. So the A-list, will complete that. We're going to extend the time to get everyone on the A-list. If you are on the B-list and you can stay to after the council meeting and we will hear you, or you can go over to the table to the right and let them know that you want to be added to the A-list for the next council meeting. Is that understood? All right, thank you.
The top of the B-list.
The top of the B-list, I'm sorry. You will go to the top of the B-list, but you have to notify the table to my right or your left.
William
Yes.
is followed by Grace Gersh.
Good evening, council members. My name is Phil Weinkoop. I've lived at 148 Gregory Hill Road since 1997, and I've lived in the South Wedge since 1990. A few of your faces are familiar to me because of previous efforts that I've been involved with, namely the Friends of the Cinema, which was the group that came together to preserve the Cinema Theater in 2005. I'm speaking to you tonight as a resident of the South Wedge, but also as a Rochesterian. This concern is not just about the people who represent our neighborhood. This is a concern for the city of Rochester. I think you've heard that before. This property is unique in that it is one of the identifiers, the same as an East Avenue conversation would be, the same as other parts of this city that represent our city uniquely and that broadcast what we are outside of the domain of the city. People that have come to Rochester, particularly that come for the Lilac Festival, they see what that property is and how it represents us. To not take the time to properly understand how this proposal will impact us does us as a city significant disservice. When I signed the petition today, I talked about a recent visit that I had to the Pittsburgh area. I'm going to read what I wrote. My recent visit to the Mount Washington area in Pittsburgh, inclusive of a trip to Frank Lloyd Wright's historic Usonian development at Kentuck Knob, leads me to say that it is very possible to develop the property at Colgate Divinity in a much more aesthetically integrated and perhaps, dare I say, iconic fashion that would not only be in keeping with the history of the property itself, but a truer reflection of Rochester's respect for its history, as well as an elevated
your time
approach
is up.
to its future.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Grace Gersh is followed by Luke Lorenzo and then Laura Wilder.
Thank you, Vice President and other City Council members. My name is Grace Gersh. I live at 56 Highland Parkway. I've lived there for 38 years. My first job was at the Divinity School in the library, and I know how beautiful and spectacular that building is. I am not opposed to development, but I do believe that the current plan does not fit with the uniqueness of the site and the architectural buildings and the low profile of our own neighborhood, only 2 stories, or especially the aesthetics of the national stature of course, our landmark Olmsted Park, which attracts thousands. And the only view, the main view from the park, will be that apartment building. I am opposed to the entire zoning plan. As has not been mentioned, I did attend the 2018, a lot of those meetings. We were in favor, many of us, for the protection of the South Lawn and along with other northern-facing neighborhoods. And also, I did strongly speak out against the first developer who wanted to do, he jokingly said, a swimming pool on the south lawn. But fortunately, we did not hear, except with this June, I didn't hear until June the 4th, I got it June the 7th, about this plan. So I'm going to, I want to debunk that. That's why he had to make so many changes in 6 weeks, because he only gave us about 6 or 8 weeks. The last thing, and I've got to say it quickly, while sympathizing with the developer and the Divinity School in their desire for a quick closure, we need to focus on the greater good for the city and its children and its families and its residents. It's not too late to sublimate our immediate desires for, closure on this building. Thank you very much.
Luke Lorenzo is followed by Laura Wilder and then Michael Toon.
Good evening. Thank you for this opportunity to speak. It saddens me that we're losing such a great neighbor. I've lived on Summit Drive for 13 years. Before that, I lived on Rockingham Street for 12 years. And this is a community that has connected through social justice with the community. It's not just a group of historic buildings that we're losing. It's this learning community, which has been so much part of our lives. So I ask you to consider this current plan, which came from the new architects, which were hired, I believe, in May or June of this year, just to give you some background in terms of how quickly this has changed. And I'd like to just pick up a little bit on the emerald necklace idea from Frederick Law Olmsted, whose student Ailing DeForest designed the property. And he always believed that we should include that his emerald necklaces, both in Boston and Seattle and here in Rochester, need to be kept expanding across any lines, the municipal lines or whatever we need to do to keep them growing and keep them, because he thought that Olmsted saw the parks as self-preserving instinct of civilization, an early bent for land and protection. He was a leader in the campaign to protect many lands, Yosemite, Niagara Falls, the Biltmore Estate. Beyond the natural beauty, he believed that parks could serve as a meeting grounds for people of different backgrounds and economic means. In the Emerald Necklace, he felt this was fulfilled. So I ask that you consider this as a place, this sacred space, allowing us, before we move forward, a place that we could continue this Emerald Necklace. Thank you.
Laura Wilder is followed by Michael Toon and then Diane Macajavelli.
Good evening, and thank you for letting me speak before you. I'm Laura Wilder. I live at 1068 Goodman Street South, right next door to the Divinity School. I want to comment on Mr. McDade-Clay's statement that we would not accept development on any side of the campus. On the contrary, most of us have not asked that the 2 apartment buildings be completely deleted from the plan. We, along with the Preservation Board and the Highland Park Neighborhood Association, have asked that the buildings be shortened and moved farther into the campus. The changes that were made were so minor as to not make much difference at all. Please consider the significant majority of this neighborhood who are asking you to put a hold on this development until it can be more thoroughly reviewed. Thank you.
Michael Toon. He's followed by Diane Machiavelli and Hamilton Beck.
Hi, I'm here to stand beside the overwhelming majority of my neighbors and oppose the changes in the zoning and ask that you hold it because of the broader concerns that have been expressed quite eloquently already by many people here tonight. My main concern is the inadequate environmental impact. And here I'm going beyond the usual ideas of light pollution and traffic and other concerns, because I'd like to juxtapose this with the City of Rochester's climate vulnerability assessments. You can't really talk about environmental concerns these days in 2019 without talking about environmental impact. And you can't say that you are wary of environmental impact when you are consuming green space. You can't do that by consuming trees that are older than anybody in this room. So, you know, I'd ask that actually go beyond this one zoning concern, and that's that the Planning Commission take into account the climate vulnerability assessments that the city has already pledged to be aware of. Now, I've seen this body before take on responsibilities that are important to the community in inspiring ways. And I ask that you continue that here and include the climate assessment in rejecting the current zoning. Thank you.
Diane is followed by Hamilton Beck and Marina Beck.
I'm Diane Machiavelli, and I live at 110 Summit Drive, which is just right up the street from the Colgate Divinity School. And I'm very concerned about the noise pollution that might take place. I can speak in a normal speaking voice at my house, and my husband can be down the hill from me, and he can hear me clearly, and I'm not speaking loudly. So I oppose this proposed rezoning project for the following reasons. All of the homes in the immediate surrounding area are zoned as single-family homes. Each of us bought our homes based upon the current zoning of our homes and their immediate surroundings, which includes Highland Park and the Colgate Divinity School property. The current zoning of the Colgate buildings and the property are zoned for a particular set of activities. Changing the zoning will do the following. It encourages or attracts a large number of people to an area for more than a few days relative to the number of people who would otherwise be there. It will cause the impairment of the character or quality of important historical, archaeological, architectural, and aesthetic resources of the existing surrounding community and the neighborhood with its overall park-like quality. The impairment of the character or quality of important historical, it will cause a hazard to human health and safety, increased traffic, noise pollution, etc. It will cause a substantial change in the use or the intensity of the use of the land or other natural resources, also causing detriment to the land's capacity to support its current existing uses. The way the zoning is proposed allows restaurants and bars in residential neighborhoods, increase problems. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hamilton Beck, and then Marina Beck and Marjorie Searle.
Good evening. My name is Hamilton Beck. My family has lived on Highland Parkway for decades. Today, the Divinity School relocated to North Goodman in a moving ceremony. They have been good neighbors for decades. We are sad to see them go. Our concern is that as a result of this process, we will be leaving this property in the hands of someone who will be far from a good steward of the land. Far from a good steward of the land. Thank you.
Marina Beck is followed by Marjorie.
Good evening. Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak up. My name is Marina Beck. My husband's family has been living at Highland Parkway for 60 years, more than. I joined the family 19 years ago. My husband and I are international scholars. We travel a lot. We visited lots of places that represent 5 world religions. I'm Orthodox myself. The first place I visited in Rochester was Divinity School campus. I fell in love with this place. It has lots of positive energy. I used to finish my morning exercise on the top of the hill and did my morning prayers. I have been charmed by this place for 19 years from the outside. This morning, my husband and I got a permission to go inside and to take a quick look. Oh my God, every step, every wall is full of history. Library with its own hall is marvelous. with portraits. Martin Luther King is in the center, chapel with the organ. I was speechless. We just can't believe that this beauty will be gone. The Strong Hall is the heart of this campus, and the campus has its own soul. This morning, we witnessed how this soul separated itself from its body and moved slowly away into the direction of an exit gate. It was very emotional. Many people cried. When soul and body are separated, priests say that soul has 40 days to walk around and look from above. This place is blessed to be institutional campus. It's educational campus. Let's help to preserve it. Dr. Sims, thank you so much for the opportunity to talk to you this morning. We wish you good luck running the campus, and we ask you together to save the campus. Thank you so much.
Marjorie is followed by Thomas Lothauer and Jeff Scortino.
Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity. My name is Marjorie Searle. I live at 124 Summit Drive. Before I present my prepared remarks, I would like to read you a comment from the president of the Highland Park Conservancy that came to me at 6:22 p.m. this evening. Highland Park Conservancy is not behind the developer or this plan. For the record, I would like to correct that impression. Thank you. Almost exactly 2 years ago, City Council approved landmark status for CRCDS. After much discussion, the application agreed on by the applicant, by preservation colleagues, and the school requested designation for the historic buildings and landscape, but exempted the northeast corner from landmark status. It gave any future developer the unfettered opportunity to demolish those buildings and use that property in a way consistent with a new plan for the campus. In 2 years, the developer on board at that time is out of the project, and a new developer is in. The school has moved, and the former president is moving out of state. Of those who were involved in the project at that time, the Landmark Society, elected and appointed city representatives, and the neighbors remain to protect this extremely sensitive and important piece of property. Few are naive enough to think that no development is going to happen. That would only be in the best of all possible worlds and not realistic in the current pro-development climate. However, development could manifest those attributes that would be appropriate in scale and design. What is not a mystery is that the very properties that everyone agreed had no significant historic or aesthetic value when landmark designation was awarded are the same properties that are being left essentially untouched, while the north and east sides of the campus, part of the landmark landscape, are being disrupted and their character is being changed dramatically. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thomas is followed by Jeff Scortino and then Everin DeMar.
Thank you and good evening. My name is Tom Slothauer. I live on Mulberry Street. I've lived there for 28 years. We are a diverse, largely middle-class neighborhood. We pay taxes and mostly send our kids to city schools. We, as concerned neighbors, are not against any development of the Divinity School, contrary to what you may hear tonight. The process just needs to slow down. This developer has been disingenuous when telling the media, the city council, and various committees, and incidentally the mayor, that he has been studiously working with neighbors and neighborhood organizations from the start, 14 months, and has bent over backwards to accommodate our concerns. The mayor herself has expressed her support largely based on his work with the neighbors over the year or so. From our viewpoint, this could not be further from the truth. His early meetings were with several special interest groups and several residents somewhat close to the area. Most of us did not learn much of this until April, and even then plans were changing so rapidly that we were rarely given advance notice or time to examine them. In a recent meeting, the developer, when asked about concerns of his selling off individual parcels, merely said, "Look at my history, I've never done it before, and I have no plans to do so now." You will note this is not in any way a commitment to refrain from doing so. This worries us immensely. Rezoning gives him permission and the option to do just this. We are asking for you to slow this process down, Follow your own rules and due process and do it right. Please listen to the people who have the most to lose if this is rushed through. Please deny zoning proposal PD 21 as written until details can be worked out that address everyone's issues. There is no valid reason to rush this process, and it has indeed been rushed, and every reason to slow down. Let's get it right. Thank you.
Jeff Scortino. Jeff Scortino. Dr. Evren Damar. He's followed by David Hanlon and then Tom Kelly.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity. My name is Evren Damar. I live on 100 Highland Parkway. And as someone who teaches economics for a living, I am concerned about the business plan that is involved in this project. As we've already heard from the representatives of the Divinity School, the stewardship of this site is immensely expensive, and the developer is relying on revenue, and given the amounts involved, probably spectacular revenue from these rental properties to be able to carry on the next stage of the project. With all the rental units that have come online in Rochester recently, with all the rental units that are about to come online, and given the fact that the population of neither the city nor the county is increasing at a spectacular rate, I'm worried that the laws of supply and demand are going to take effect at some point. And if by the time these units come online, the rental market in Rochester has hit a soft spot, and the developer might be earning revenue but not the spectacular revenue that he needs, there's nothing stopping him from saying, look, I tried, but the market turned against me. I can't do the second stage of my project and try to sell off the historical properties. You know, I mean, when I teach, if I was teaching economics, that's what I would tell my students to do, but that is not in the interest of the city, because we will be left with trying to find another buyer for this important property when the site has been disturbed, it's been chopped into pieces, 2 buildings have been attached, trees have been cut down. Imagine how hard it's been to find a potential buyer for the property as it is. How is there going to be a buyer who is going to steward the property when it has been actually diminished in value? So at a minimum, I urge the council to actually reject the subdivision of this property, take a breather, ask these hard questions, look at the long-term big picture events, and then proceed if needed. Thank you for your time.
David Hanlon. David Hanlon is followed by Tom Kelly.
Good evening. David Hanlon, architect for the applicant. I'm here to speak on a couple of the issues that were included in the online petition, because I just wanted to clarify some things that were stated there as they compared to what was actually submitted on the record. So there was a statement in there about how the 60-foot apartment buildings will tower over the historic structures. Our eave heights are 45 feet, and the ridge is at 59 feet. These are consistent with Strong Hall's heights. We brought the building 100 down a couple feet below Strong Hall, so these, as I say, they're not towering over, they're consistent with the height and scale of Strong Hall. The second item in the petition mentioned the endangerment of the stability of the steep slope site. The buildings that we're placing here are all south of the ridge. They were moved to the 100 and 120-foot setback so that they sit south of the ridge that's on the north side of the site. So we're in what is primarily today the parking lot and the middle of the site. And the 24-foot excavation and other deep excavations that I heard mentioned. Building 100 is actually a slab-on-grade building, so the excavation will be 6 to 8 feet. Building 200 has a basement under it, but that would be in the range of 12 to 14 feet. So and again, in the middle of a site that that has housed the building for 80 years and has had no problem. So I just wanted to address those 3 issues for you tonight.
Tom Kelly is followed by Angelo Ingracia.
Good evening. My name is Tom Kelly. I live at 135 Highland Parkway. My wife and I have been a resident of Highland Parkway for almost 40 years and enjoyed it greatly. First, I'd like to say, and I think all of the neighbors will feel the same way, we have great empathy for the situation that the Divinity School has themselves in at this point in time, and we'd really like to see them find a way out of their issues, their financial issues. One of the buzzwords that's used a lot in government and business these days is transparency. Transparency, with that said, I'd like to thank the city council members that have been able to come up to Highland Parkway and see the site and see where this building is going to be and the impact that it's going to have on our neighborhood when the trees are in full bloom and when the trees are not in full bloom. The problem is that one of the problems that we have is that in looking at this, what the building's going to look like, is that the developer has not presented a coherent picture of what this building is going to do and how it's going to look. It's a limited amount of distance behind the back line, the back borders of the properties that are on Highland Parkway, and that building is going to be staring down at us 12 months a year, blocking the light and causing a significant change to the bucolic nature of our neighborhood. I would also say that most of these changes, and most of us just got on board in the neighborhood in April when the things really started moving on this project. Up to that point in time, it was sort of like we weren't part of it. The Highland Park neighbors were not part of it, and many of us were really not aware of what was going on. At the end of the day, I think it's fair to say that most of the neighbors understand that something has to happen up on that property. We're looking forward to having a successful development on that property, but right now it needs to change. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Angelo Ingracio, and I am the sponsor of the project called The Vistas at Highland that you will consider later this evening. I want to thank you and the administration for the patience and the time that has been spent on carefully reviewing and understanding my application. If you decide to approve the legislation needed for my project to continue to move forward, I would like to make the following commitments. I will, as I have from the beginning, work openly through the required upcoming city processes, respecting the comments and concerns of all the stakeholders, particularly those of my neighbors. I will work very closely with the Preservation Board, as I have with the Landmark Society, to obtain the best possible and most historically appropriate solution for this landmark property. I plan to move forward after the purchase not only as a project sponsor and owner, but also as a member of the Highland Park Neighborhood Associations, if they will be kind enough to have me. Of these things, I could assure you. Please know that I am fully committed to this project, and I am excited about the future for this incredible Rochester gem. Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes this portion of the Speak to the Council session. If you are on the B list and would like to speak after the council meeting concludes, you are welcome to stay, or you can sign up to be at the top of the next month's B list. We're going to take a 10-minute break before we start our regular council meeting. So at 8:10, we'll reconvene for our regular council meeting. Thank you, everyone who spoke. We appreciate your comments.
Why didn't I get on the list? I don't know, and she emailed you. I don't get that. You should go find out.
Nice job, sir.
Yep, I'll take all this stuff.
You have to show me where, because I'd like to cross it. No, well, let me, I'd like to see
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to ask, please, sir, please, ma'am, if you would make your ways to your seat, please. I know everyone's having a great time fellowshipping with each other, but we're asking you if you would please, sir, please, ma'am, take your seat as we prepare to get ready for our meeting. Wow. Okay. So this meeting will come to order. You doing all that for me? All right. No, you're fine, brother. Thank you. This meeting will come to order. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Councilmember Clifford? Here. Councilmember Evans? Here. Councilmember Gruber?
Here.
Councilmember Harris? Here. Councilmember Ortiz? Here. Councilmember Patterson? Here. Councilmember Spall?
Here.
Vice President Lightfoot?
Present.
President Scott.
What's going on?
I would like to ask the council to please rise for a moment of silence. Councilmember Harris, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, folks, we have special recognition today. Will Darius Dillard and Nate Williams please come to the podium along with Councilmember Gruber, Mayor Warren, and Chief Jackson.
Good evening, everyone. A few months ago, I was playing basketball with some friends, some colleagues, and I was playing with my good friend Nate Williams Sr. And he brought in a young-looking man over here, Junior, and I thought to myself, what's Nate doing? This is a grown man's game, and not only do I care about the way he plays, but you know, we need to see respect on the basketball court, and not every time I play with young men do I see that. I got to be honest with you. But after about an hour of playing, and Junior, you can tell him we won every game we played. It's accurate. After about an hour of playing, what became very clear is that this young man had an incredible amount of respect for everyone on the court, for the sanctity of the game. He was just a very respectful young man. So I said to Nate Sr. afterwards, I said, man, this kid must really be dominating on the UPrep basketball team. And what my good friend Nate told me was, no, his mom and I are not ready to let him play until he gets his grades up to where we know they can be. That's the family that Nate Williams Sr. and his wife have developed for Junior, making sure that he is living up to the high expectations set for him, and I'm confident that's the same way in the Dillard family with Darius over here, which is why it's no surprise to me that they embarked on the courageous acts that they did just a few days ago. For those of you who haven't heard, and I'm sure we'll talk about it in the proclamation, but these two young men courageously went into a house that had a fire and pulled people out of the house. And when I saw Nate and Darius just the day afterwards, Nate brought him over to Food Link for a conversation with us. The most striking thing about the story when Darius was telling me is that they actually didn't know the family. They knew the house very well. It was their neighbor's house. But what brought them into for that courageous act was not familiarity with the family. It was a sense of duty and obligation to this community. And as Nate said in his remarks on the news that day, Nate Sr., the future is bright with young folks like this. So I'm just so happy that they're here and so grateful.
the words that Councilmember Gruber just stated, I just want to echo them, because when you have young people in your community that is doing the right thing, that ran into the fire to save 5 people, we want to make sure that we recognize them and that we honor them for their service. I actually had the chance to meet Nate Jr. a number of years ago, and he showed me the picture from my office. Him and his mom came probably around 2014. And to see the young man that he has become, to know that he is still on the right path and on the right track, I am truly, truly appreciative of that. And to be joined here with your cousin, I think that that just is a testament to the foundation that your family has set. And so I appreciate your moms and your dads, and of course your little brother that is here, for not only pouring into you, but for giving you that solid foundation. And on behalf of the citizens of Rochester, I want to read this proclamation. On August 14, 2019, Darius Dillard and Nate Williams Jr. were sitting on a front porch on Emerson Street when they spotted smoke billowing from a neighboring house. They jumped into action and quickly ran to the house and began banging on the front door. And Darius and Nate found 1 adult and 4 children inside the house and guided them outside to safety. Darius and Nate made an attempt to extinguish the flame, but as the house filled with smoke, they realized they could lose consciousness and made their own exit. And the Rochester Fire Department was dispatched to the scene amid reports of people trapped inside. Upon arrival, the first crews were told that everyone had exited safely. Crews discovered the source of the fire in the second-floor bedroom and brought the fire under control in 18 minutes. The cause was determined to be electrical in nature. In the news release distributed later that day, the Rochester Fire Department reported the occupants were alerted by a neighbor and all had exited the home safely. The department also reported searches were conducted throughout the house and nobody was found inside. No civilian or firefighters were injured in this report. While any fire in a home is a sad story, there is cause to celebrate those that end without injury or loss of life, especially when children are involved. Were it not for the heroic acts of Darius and Nate, the story of August 14th fire on Emerson Street may well have risen from sad to tragic. For that, the city of Rochester owes them a tremendous debt of gratitude. Now, therefore, we lovely a warm mayor of the city of Rochester and City Council President Loretta C. Scott do hereby proclaim August 20th, 2019 to be Darius Dillard and Nate Williams Jr. Day in the city of Rochester.
One of the forgotten components of public safety is community. And when you see something, say something, or do something. These young men did something, and that's so important in our community today. And I want to recognize them because we have a great program called Career Pathways to Public Safety. And I'm going to give them an application for that program because you are exactly and have the characteristics that we are looking for in our fire department. So I hope you take advantage of that opportunity. So congratulations.
Did you guys want to say something?
Feel free, yeah, absolutely.
Hello, hello. Good evening. It was like, honestly, like I wasn't, the day that everything happened, I wasn't expecting any of this to happen. I was just going into my aunt's house to help her fix her phone. So like it's just, I just like to thank my family because they molded me to have a good heart for like anyone. Because like, as soon as like the whole situation ended, like I broke tears for that family because like, just like my uncle said, it shows like you can't be selfish. You gotta like be grateful for everything that you get. Like even though it was one room, that one room can mean a lot for that family. So like I just like I feel happy that everyone came out safe. I wasn't even thinking about what I did. Like, it just shows like everything comes out successful, and God, He works in mysterious ways. Like, He really do. So, I just want to thank everyone for like coming out, like recognizing me and my cousin, my family, for like the courageous act that we did, and like I truly thank y'all. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen, for your service and for saving lives. I was telling them in my office that Vice President Willie Lightfoot's son just graduated from the academy. He was in the Pathways to Public Safety career program, and so you have somebody that you can talk to that had went through that program, and we hope that you fill out those applications. And of course, Councilmember LaShae Harris is in charge of the program, so she's waiting for those applications. Don't leave here today without it. Congratulations.
Next we have our retirement recognitions. Would Scott Peters please come to the podium along with Deputy Chief Simmons?
Deputy Chief of Operations Scott Peters, RPD, served the city of Rochester and our police department for over 26 years. He retired in June as Deputy Chief of the Operations Bureau through outstanding communication skills, a helpful attitude, and a keen sense of humor. He was able to leave a lasting impression upon the police department and community alike. Deputy Chief Peters served in multiple sections of the Rochester Police Department, including Highland, Genesee, Special Investigations, Special Operations, the West Division, the East Division, Research and Evaluation, and the Staff Duty Office. He was promoted to Sergeant of the 4th Platoon of Genesee and Special Investigation Section in 2004, Lieutenant in March of 2008, and later designated as the Commanding Officer of the Emergency Task Force SWAT. He was promoted to Deputy Chief in 2015 and has dutifully served in that capacity until his retirement in June. Peters earned recognition for his outstanding service in the form of Distinguished Service Award, Excellent Police Service Award, Unit Commendation Award, Mayor Superstar of Service Award, Unit Citation, Safe Driving, Good Conduct, Service Certificates, and numerous Chiefs Awards and letters. Deputy Chief Peters also received countless letters of appreciation from citizens, businesses, and other law enforcement agencies, praising him for his professionalism, thoroughness, knowledge, superior quality of service, and willingness to share his expertise with others. In addition to his success as a police officer, Scott interacted with the community he protected. He not only volunteered for PAL engagement events, but also participated in benefits of the RPD hockey games. Deputy Chief Peters devoted his life to protecting the lives of others. And on behalf of the citizens of Rochester, our residents and officers whose lives you have touched throughout your 26 years of service, I want to say thank you so very, very much. Congratulations. Enjoy your retirement.
Thank you. Obviously, this isn't the first time I've been stand up in front of this room, but it has been quite an honor to serve the city of Rochester. I was trying to match my grandfather's career. He was a city fireman for 37 years, but things changed, and it was a good thing. But obviously, our family has been part of the Rochester community for many decades. We continue to be part of that community, and we're not going anywhere. So thank you very much. It was my honor to serve everybody here in the city, and it just leaves me speechless. And thank you, everybody, for letting me be your servant. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Chief Peters. We appreciate you for your service and also your family for allowing you to serve the citizens of Rochester.
Okay, next we have the approval of minutes by Councilmember Gruber.
Resolved that the minutes of the regular meeting on July 23, 2019 be approved as published in the official sheets of the proceedings.
All in favor say A.
Aye.
Aye, I'm sorry. Forgive me. It says A. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. The motion carries 8-0.
The following documents are hereby directed to be received and filed. The mayor submits the following: quarterly report, loans and grants, August 2019, quarterly report, professional service agreement, June 2019. The council submits disclosure of interest forms from Councilmember Spall on introductory number 303 and Councilmember Gruber on introductory number 303.
It's time for presentations in reference of petitions and any other communications. Are there any petitions?
Yes, I have 3 petitions in opposition to the Vistas at Highland Plan Development project totaling 805 signatures.
Thank you, Councilmember Patterson. Those petitions will be received and filed. Now let's move to the reports of the standing committees and actions thereon. Councilmember Evans, the Finance Committee report, please.
To the Council, the Finance Committee recommends for adoption the following entitled legislation. Introductory number 273, authorizing a master license agreement with First Light Fiber. Introductory number 274, cancellation of erroneous taxes and charges. Introductory number 275, authorizing an amendatory agreement with Collaborative Solutions, LLC. Introductory number 276, authorizing agreements and funding for the Financial Empowerment Centers Initiative. Introductory number 277, authorizing an amendatory agreement with SourceLink. Introductory number 278, amending the 2019-20 budget for receipt of New York State Extreme Winter Recovery Highway funding. Introductory number 303, authorizing council member designations for agreements to support various community programs and services. And introductory number 304, authorizing an agreement for racial equity training. This report was respectfully submitted by Councilmember Molly Clifford, Councilmember Michael A. Patterson, Council Vice President Willie J. Lightfoot, and myself, Malik Evans.
Thank you, Councilmember Evans. That report will be received, filed, and published, and we'll proceed with the vote. Introductory number 273, legislation for master license agreement with the First Light Fiber. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. The motion carries 8-0. Introduction number 274, legislation for cancellation of erroneous taxes and charges. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion carries 8-0. Introduction number 275, legislation for a mandatory agreement with Collaborative Solutions. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion carries 8-0. Introduction number 276, legislation for Financial Empowerment Centers Initiative. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion carries 8-0. Introduction number 277, legislation for a mandatory agreement with SourceLink. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion carries 8-0. Introductory number 278, legislation for receipt of New York State Extreme Winter Recovery Highway funding. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion carries 8-0. Introduction number 303, legislation for council members' designation for various community programs and services. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion carries 8-0. Introductory number 304, legislation for racial equity training. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries 8-0. Councilmember Patterson, the Neighborhood and Business Development Committee report, please.
To the council, the Neighborhood and Business Development Committee recommends for adoption the following entitled legislation. Introductory number 279, authorizing the sale of real estate. Introductory number 280, authorizing a lease agreement for the Court Street parking garage. Introductory number 281, authorizing a license agreement with St. Mark's and St. John's Episcopal Church for the use of city properties as community gardens. The following entitled legislation is being held in committee. Introductory number 282, amending the zoning code by adding Plan Development District number 21, the Vistas at Highland. Introductory number 283, amending the zoning map by changing the zoning classification of 1100-1120 South Goodman Street to Plan Development District number 21, the Vistas at Highland. Respectfully submitted by myself, Michael A. Patterson, Councilmember Lachey D. Harris, Councilmember Jacqueline Ortiz, and Council Vice President Willie J. Lightfoot.
Thank you, Councilman Patterson. That report will be received, filed, and published, and will proceed with the vote. Introduction number 279, legislation for the sale of 6 properties. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion carries 8-0. Introductory number 280, legislation for a lease agreement for the Court Street parking garage. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion carries 8-0. Introductory number 281, legislation for license agreements for community gardens. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion carries 8-0. I would like now to ask the administration to provide the council with specifics on what the legislation before the council related to Colgate Divinity School campus entails, and also what future approvals are required for anything to move forward.
Thank you, Vice President Lightfoot. I'll turn that question over to Dana Miller, our Director of Business Development.
Thank you, Mayor Warren. What you're being asked tonight to do is to approve the creation of Plan Development District number 21 and to rezone the property that we've discussed on South Goodman Street to be a part of that Plan Development District. As you are aware, a Plan Development District is site-specific and relates only to the parcels that are included in this request. Plan development districts are typically used for institutional type campuses, hospitals, schools, museums, and the like, and it provides an opportunity for more flexible development opportunities. So approval of a planned development district involves the acceptance of a development concept plan, which identifies what type of development is proposed, where in the district it can be built, and what corresponding regulations apply to that. For example, permitted and specially permitted uses, setbacks, signage, etc. It does not approve the construction nor authorize the owner to obtain any building permits or modify the campus in any way. It only places the regulations in the city zoning code. Any development or redevelopment on the campus must be submitted to the zoning office for additional review.
Councilmember Spall, as the district member, would you like to make any statements?
I would, and I have to tell you that I feel very upset tonight, and you're going to hear me. I'm going to support this, but I do this with enormous disdain for the process. And I have sat in this chair for 12 years representing you with my whole heart. And tonight I find myself having to make a decision based on misunderstanding and misrepresentation that people in this good community who have voted for me, and I love you all, and you're not going to like me very much, and I understand that. But tonight what we're voting for is a very narrow scope. And I'm going to ask the administration, and I'm going to ask Mayor Warren herself, I need to know what will happen over the next 30 days. I need to know who the point people are by name and phone number, and you can give us our cell phone numbers. These people need to know who to call, who's going to answer that call, who are the people that are going to stand behind this project if Mr. Ingracio does not do what he says he's going to do. This is not okay, and I will tell you that I'm voting yes, despite my sadness of having to look at these people who I have admired and who have admired me after 12 years. This is not the way I want to end my tenure up here. I think the project is the best guess right now, but we have lots and lots and lots and lots of steps to take. And I'm going to ask you, and Mayor Warren, I'm looking at you, and I'm looking at your team, and I want to know who is going to answer these questions. I had multiple conversations with Roxanne today. She's expecting someone to call her in the next 3 days to set up meetings in the next 30 days, and I'm going to want to know when those are happening. Bob and Laura and others need to know, who do they call? Who are they going to work with? I'm not going to be here to watch over this, so I am asking you with due diligence to do what should have been done 3 months ago, 4 months ago. I don't believe holding this is going to answer your questions, my friends. I don't. I wish I thought it would. It's not going to. But will you please make sure that feet are held to the fire every damn step of the way? And I want you to ask them right now, who will be the people that you call? I do think noise, by the way, I'm just going to say this, it's likely to have residential folks up there sharing the space who are going to make sure there's not a lot of noise, just saying. But that's not the issue. You have questions about traffic. You have questions about climate. You have some of the questions Michael raised. You have good, solid questions. They need to be answered. But I don't believe holding that is going to get you the answers. I wish I thought it did, because I have thought about this and thought about this, and if I thought waiting 30 days was going to get you what you needed, I would ask to hold it. I just don't. What I think will get you what you need is getting right now, and again, I know I sound harsh, and I apologize. Well, I don't apologize for it. Actually, I don't apologize for it, because I am deeply, deeply disappointed in this process, in the way this has gone, putting us, this council, once again, is being asked to do something they should not be asked to do. These zoning issues should be resolved when there isn't a controversial project at hand. Look at the projects out there. Make decisions about PPDs. The designations we have right now are not even relevant. They don't exist in our code. But who is going to stand up for people who are asking, good people who care about this, who, by the way, could live anywhere they want? They have choices. They can live anywhere they want. They've chosen to live with us, and you voted for me, and I want you to know I take it very, very seriously. But tonight, I don't believe the answer is to hold it. I think the answer is to put feet to the fire, make sure every single step is taken. I know you won't agree with me, and I appreciate that, and you know, I'm sure you're going to call me, and that's okay, because I'm still going to be here till December 31st. So, Mayor Warren, you and your team, Marguerite, Jill, who are the people? What are your numbers? What's the next step? What can we expect in the next 30 days? And I'm saying 30 days. I know you got a long weekend coming up. I don't really care. This has to be done. These good people deserve it. They have not been given the answers. They feel like it's been pushed and rushed. And I'm sorry to make a speech like this. And again, I would rather not be ending my 12 years of hard work away from my family, away from the center where I love the work I'm doing, to be up here, and now I find myself in a position that does not feel good. So I'm going to tell you right now, I need to know, and I'm actually going to demand, and I will be watching. So, Mayor Warren.
Thank you, Councilmember Spall, and I understand your passion and your concern. I definitely have spoken with our team. I can assure you that these zoning issues are of concern to the administration as well. Part of the comprehensive plan 2034 that we have been working on will include us rezoning and looking at the zoning of the city, because it is antiquated and we really need to update that, and it should not be during the process by which we are voting or dealing with projects. And so I agree with you. I can assure you that Dana Miller is going to be the lead person on this, along with Jill. And Jill has been attending and working side by side with you and others on this particular project. Gary Kirkmeyer, the commissioner, is not in this week, but he also understands the direction that has been given by council. I can assure you that we don't like to put council in this particular position. Colgate Divinity School has been working with a number of developers over the last couple of years to try and develop this parcel or to sell this parcel. As you know, the Divinity School moved out today. We do not want to leave this property empty for a period of time, which is of concern to us. We value the architectural nature of the property. We know that the developer has worked very, very hard to answer many of the questions, but we know that there are more questions that need to be answered. And so I can assure you that Dana Miller will be the person that leads this along with Jill. And Dana, if you want to give your direct number.
Dana, I have your cell phone, just so you know.
Yeah, council member, I'm well aware of that, thank you. My office number is 428-6150, and I can be reached there, obviously during business hours, but we'll take the lead.
And what can these folks expect to have happen in the next, who will gather, who will look through every question they have, and who will work on answering those questions, from climate to traffic? I mean, I know that this is the first step, and there's multiple steps. I know there's a mandated traffic review. I know there's a mandated environmental review. I know there's a mandated other kinds of assessments. I understand that. I know there's a mandated forestry. I understand that. But what can they expect to have happen in the next 30 days?
As you know, there are many different departments that we have to work with. The city is the lead agency, so we're working with the state of New York as well as the county of Monroe. We don't expect our residents to have to deal with all those different entities.
Okay.
We will deal with that. As I said, Dana just gave out his number. He is the lead contact. The staff person that has been working alongside and on this issue is Jill, but any questions that may come up will go to Dana, and Jill will work directly to set up all the meetings and work directly with the neighbors to answer all those questions. We will work with the Monroe County DOT that has done a traffic study already. There have been some things that have been agreed upon in the last couple of days around sidewalks and egresses and making it more pedestrian friendly. And so we'll make sure that the neighbors get that information. And any questions around climate control, we have a DES team, a Department of Environmental Quality team that can answer any questions around environmental quality. We can also work with the New York State DEC if need be. And so any questions that neighbors have should be directed to Jill, but Jill will set up the meetings, but Dana is the contact person.
So what if these people say, we can't wait a year for a traffic? We have a mandated traffic review in a year. That's part of the plan. What if after 2 months they come back? What will we go back and take a look? Can we do that? Can you make some I mean, I'm going to probably want to write something for you guys to sign, just so you know. But that's what I'm worried about. I don't want to wait until somebody gets hit or something happens. I want them to be able to come to somebody after a quarter, 3 months, 2 months, and say, we're seeing, now we won't know for a while because, it's not going to happen. It's going to take a while to develop it. But you have children in these neighborhoods, you have lots of traffic, you have lots of people, and will you, can you put the deadline for that traffic review up more in a more vibrant way if needed?
My understanding is that one traffic review has been done by the Monroe County DOT. We work in partnership to put up a traffic light, to put up a stop sign, to put in a speed hump. We need the approval and the partnership with Monroe County DOT. I can assure you that Norm Jones and DES will work with Monroe County DOT to make sure that those traffic studies are reviewed and complied with. If there is an issue of concern immediately, we would love for the neighbors to contact Dana right away. We will monitor and continue to monitor the traffic in these areas as we do all over the city. And if there is problems, then we will definitely put forth the much needed effort to make sure that those are alleviated. One of the things that has been discussed, and I know it was discussed at the meeting, was the sidewalk, that there is not a sidewalk that goes from the Colgate Divinity parking lot or driveway to Highland. The developer has agreed to put in that sidewalk. I know one of the other issues has been some type of traffic light, a crossing earlier. I know that that is something that we have sent over to Monroe County DOT. We will be looking for a report back on if that will be allowed. And so it's not just the city that has to make some of these decisions. We rely on our government partners. I can assure you that we'll be working diligently to make sure that our government partners are responding to the concerns of the neighbors when they are raised. And in the next 30 days, we'll answer as many questions that we have answers to, and make sure that we work diligently to get the answers to questions that we don't have the answer to.
Thank you, Councilmember Spall, and thank you for Mayor. Councilmember Clifford, would you like to make a statement?
Well, I do share Councilmember Spall's concerns, but I guess I wanted to first thank everybody for all of your involvement in this and for participating to this degree. It means a lot. We hear you. The administration hears you. We hear you. Mr. Ingracia hears you. I do also share Councilmember Spall's concerns about the property becoming vacant. And I also believe that we need to have a local developer who is at the table, as Mr. Ingracia has been committed to do. I hope that we can proceed in good faith here on all sides. It is an important site for the city of Rochester. It's important to Colgate. I know we all wish that Colgate would stay and be successful and never change a thing. That is just not possible with this project. So I will be supporting this project as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Clifford. Thank you for your comments. Councilmember Patterson, do you have a motion for introduction number 282, legislation amending the zoning code for adding Planning Development District 21, the Vista at Highland?
Yes, I would like to make a motion to discharge introductory number 282 from committee.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor for discharge and introduction number 282 for committee, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay.
Nay.
Can I get a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Clifford?
Yes.
Councilmember Evans?
No.
Councilmember Gruber?
No.
Councilmember Harris?
Yes.
Councilmember Ortiz? Councilmember Patterson?
Yes.
Councilmember Spall? Yes. Vice President Lightfoot?
Yes.
President Scott?
So I have 5-3. Thank you. The motion passes. Now let's vote on introductory number 282, legislation amending the zoning code by adding Planned Development District number 21, the Vistas at Highland. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay.
Nay.
No.
Can I get a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Clifford?
Yes.
Councilmember Evans?
No.
Councilmember Gruber?
No.
Councilmember Harris?
Yes.
Councilmember Ortiz? Councilmember Patterson?
Yes.
Councilmember Spall? Vice President Lightfoot?
Yes.
President Scott?
That's, motion passes 5-3. Councilman Patterson, do you have a motion for introduction number 283, legislation amending the zoning map for changing the zoning classifications of 1100 to 1120 South Goodman Street to Planned Development District 21, the Vista at Highland?
Yes, I would like to make a motion to discharge introductory number 283 from committee.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, say aye. Any opposed, say nay.
Nay.
No.
We got three, still 5-3. Okay, motion passes 5-3. Now let's vote on introduction number 283, legislation amending the zoning map by changing the zoning classifications of 1100 to 1120 South Goodman Street to Planned Development District number 21, the Vista at Highland. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay.
Nay.
Motion passes 5-3. Councilmember Gruber, the Parks and Public Works.
Councilmember Lightfoot, can I make one comment real quick?
Sure.
On that one? I just want to state, I think that the administration and the developer both worked very hard to get this thing done. I believe that the number one concern from the neighborhood, and what we heard very clearly, especially in HPNA's letter, was about the pace. And I think that it's something that You know, there's certain things that I would expect and hope the city to have a lot of urgency on. For example, if we knew that this was going to lead to significant more affordable housing, for example, I would be all in favor of having some urgency. But being as it may that we don't know that or expect that, I struggle to understand the urgency of some things like this, and especially with the pre-development meeting happening late April. I think that what would be wise is in future developments to ensure that there is time baked in so that we can have some of these conversations as the neighborhood was asking in this particular case moving forward, so that council has more time to vet some of these projects as well.
Thank you, Councilmember Gruber. With that, transitioning to you, Councilmember Gruber, the Parks and Public Works Committee report, please.
To the council, the Parks and Public Works Committee recommends for adoption the following entitled legislation. Introduction number 284, authorizing agreements and appropriating funds for the Preventative Maintenance Northwest Group 12 project. Introductory number 285, appropriating community development block grant funds for Alpha Street Group infrastructure improvements. Introductory number 286, authorizing intermunicipal agreements with the County of Monroe for traffic signal maintenance services as amended. Introductory number 287, bond ordinance of the City of Rochester, New York, authorizing the issuance of $515,000 bonds of said city to finance certain costs of the 2019 annual parking garage evaluation and repair program. Introductory number 288, authorizing an amendatory agreement for the promenade at Erie Harbor Park project. Introductory number 289, authorizing a professional services agreement for 121 to 123 Reynolds Street Brownfield Cleanup Project. Introductory number 290, bond ordinance of the City of Rochester, New York, authorizing the issuance of $109,500 bonds of said city to finance the cost of the remediation of environmental contamination of 121 to 123 Reynolds Street in the city. Introductory number 291, bond ordinance of the City of Rochester, New York, authorizing the issuance of $288,000 bonds of said city to finance the cost of a remedial investigation and interim remedial measures for environmental contamination located at 68-92 Genesee Street in the city. Introductory number 292, authorizing a grant agreement for municipal food scraps reduction, food donation, and food scraps recycling program. The Parks and Public Works Committee recommends for consideration the following entitled legislation. Introductory number 293, amending the official map to dedicate additional right-of-way as Phil Banks Way. Respectfully submitted by Councilmember Malik Evans, Councilmember Elaine Spall, Council Vice President Willie Lightfoot, and myself, Councilmember Mitch Gruber.
Thank you, Councilmember Gruber. That report will be received, filed, and published, and we will proceed with the vote. Introduction number 284, legislation for preventive maintenance Northwest Group 12 project. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion passes 8-0. Introductory number 285, legislation for Alpha Street Group infrastructure improvements. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion carries 8-0. Introduction number 286 as amended, an intermunicipal agreement with Monroe County for traffic signal maintenance. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion carries 8-0. Introduction number 287, a bond ordinance to fund 2019 annual parking garage evaluation and repair program. This requires a roll call vote. Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Councilmember Clifford?
Yes.
Councilmember Evans?
Yes.
Councilmember Gruber?
Yes.
Councilmember Harris?
Yes.
Councilmember Ortiz? Yes. Councilmember Patterson?
Yes.
Councilmember Spall?
Yes.
Vice President Lightfoot?
Yes.
President Scott?
Motion carries 8-0. Introductory number 288, legislation for a mandatory agreement related to the promenade at Erie Harbor Park projects. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion carries 8-0. Introduction number 289, legislative related to the brownfield cleanup at 121, 123 Reynolds Street. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion carries 8-0. Introductory number 290, a bond ordinance to fund the brownfield cleanup at 121, 123 Reynolds Street. This requires a roll call vote. Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Councilmember Clifford?
Yes.
Councilmember Evans?
Yes.
Councilmember Gruber?
Yes.
Councilmember Harris?
Yes.
Councilmember Ortiz? Councilmember Patterson?
Yes.
Councilmember Spall?
Yes.
Vice President Lightfoot?
Yes.
President Scott?
Motion passes 8-0. Introduction number 291, a bond ordinance to fund remedial investigation and interim remedial measures at 6892 Genesee Street. This requires a roll call vote. Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Councilmember Clifford?
Yes.
Councilmember Evans?
Yes.
Councilmember Gruber?
Yes.
Councilmember Harris?
Yes.
Councilmember Ortiz? Councilmember Patterson?
Yes.
Councilmember Spall?
Yes.
Vice President Lightfoot?
Yes.
President Scott?
Motion carries. Introduction number 292, legislation for food scrap reduction, food donation, and food scrap recycling program. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion carries 8-0. Introductory number 293, legislation amending the official map dedicating additional right-of-way as Phil Banks Way. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion carries. I will now give the Public Safety, Youth, and Recreation Committee report. The Public Safety, Youth, and Recreation Committee recommends for adoption the following titled legislation. Introductory number 294, appropriating funds and authorizing an agreement with the Rochester Area Crime Stoppers Incorporated. Introductory number 295, authorizing an agreement with the New York State Office of Victim Services. Introductory number 296, amending the 2019-20 budget by increasing the appropriations for the Rochester Police Department to carry over unspent grant funds. Introductory number 297, amending the 2019-20 budget to fund electronic crime investigations. Introductory number 298, authorizing intermunicipal agreement for the Pathways to Peace program. Introductory number 299, authorizing an agreement and funding for the rock music program. Introductory number 300, authorizing an agreement for Rock Kids Read Literacy Program. Introduction number 301, authorizing license agreements for the use of Danforth Community Center as amended. This report was respectfully submitted by Councilmember Mitch Gruber, Councilwoman LaShaye Harris, Councilwoman Jacqueline Ortiz, Council President Loretta Scott, and myself, Council Vice President Willie J. Lightfoot. The report will be received and filed and published and will proceed with a vote. Introduction number 294, legislation for agreement with the Rochester Area Crime Stoppers. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion passes 8-0. Introduction number 295, legislation for a grant agreement with the New York State Office of Victim Services. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. The motion carries 8-0. Introduction number 296, legislation to carry over unspent grant funds for the Rochester Police budget. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries 8-0. Introduction number 297, legislation to fund the electronic crime investigations. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries 8-0. Introduction number 298, an intermunicipal agreement with the Rochester City School District for Pathways to Peace services. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries 8-0. Introductory legislation for, or introduction number 299, legislation for rock music program. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries 8-0. Introduction number 300, legislation for Rock Kids Read Literacy Programming Project. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion carries 8-0. Introduction number 301, as amended, legislation for a license agreement for the use of Danforth Community Center. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries 8-0. I will now give the Committee of the Whole report. The Committee of the Whole is holding the following entitled legislation. Introduction number 302, a resolution naming Gary Kirkmeyer as the Commissioner of Neighborhood and Business Development Department. This report is respectfully submitted by Councilmember Molly Clifford, Malik Evans, Mitch Gruber, LaShaye Harris, Jackie Ortiz, Michael Patterson, Elaine Spall, President Loretta Scott, and myself, Vice President Willie Lightfoot. That report will be received and filed. This item is intended to be taken up for a vote at next month's meeting after a confirmation hearing has taken place. Is there any other miscellaneous business to come before City Council tonight? Seeing none, oh, I get to do this? Oh, this meeting is adjourned. Now, thank you. Now, if there's some of you may have signed up on the list and you want to speak, then this is the time now. that you would be able, is there any, raise your hand if you wanted, if you were on here before and you wanted to speak. If not, then we conclude that section of the Speak to the Council is concluded. Everyone drive home safely and God bless you, and you ain't got to go home, but you got to leave here.